Hello, I'm Adriana. I'm a Master SoulPath Teacher and Guide. Today we have a message from your higher self, from your higher guidance. And let me just get the card shuffled and we will see. While I'm doing that, I'd ask you to please take a moment and breathe into your center, specifically your heart center. I'm asking to tap into the same place so that we're drawing messages that are from your highest good to give you the information you really need from that heart space, expanding, nurturing where you are, and helping you find even more fulfillment on your journey. Okay. Ooh, wow. I am overheating over here. There's very strong energy coming through right now. It's really hot in here. Okay. Circumstance, we have the 10 of water. Challenge in this circumstance, the 3 of earth. Past, future, conscious, subconscious. Okay, and then, do I do these now? Okay. Hermit, 5 of earth, Knight of earth, Death on top. Okay. All right. It may take me a second to click in because in this reading, things may just flow a little differently for me in this reading, so thank you for your patience. Okay. Now we have a rainbow bridge in the back. This is the circumstance this is the circumstance of what's going on right now. And rainbow bridge is like almost feels like a portal or a crossing to get to a better place or to get to a higher level of vibrating. What does that mean specifically? That means being able to maintain a higher vibration for a longer period of time. Okay, keeping yourself in your heart space, keeping yourself out of your head, keeping yourself out of your negative patterns for a longer period of time. I think what's going on, it doesn't matter where you are in your journey, if you've been on it for 7 years or 7 minutes or 20 years or 20 minutes, there's a real challenge to stay in that higher place, especially when the world is so heavy and dark at times, and it's really easy to get pulled down into that despair or to not get affected. It's affecting everyone, in some small way. And so the negativity has been very difficult to work against. And I feel like right now there is an opening being created where if you go through this opening, if you're allowed to go through this opening, or you allow yourself to go through this opening, it's going to give you the strength and the ability to channel and to stay in those higher vibrations more consistently for a longer period of time. And we're crossed with the 3 of earth, which is funny. It's like it's different animals stacked on top of each other. We've got a fox, we've got a fairy, you've got an apple's not an animal, but then there's a crow on top. So, they're all working together. But what's challenging us is the separation, right? Rainbow is the famous symbol of unity because it's different colors, but it's all one thing. And really, scientifically, a rainbow is just white light. So it's a beam of light, and when it hits certain things, it gets separated into those colors. But really, the colors, how do I say this? White light is actually a blend of all the colors. So the separation is really the illusion, because the truth of the matter is white light has all those different wavelengths, has all those colors, has all those frequencies. So when we see differences between levels of vibration or levels of ascension, that's in a sense kind of an illusion, but it's an illusion we need right now because because of, I guess, where we are. And so that is the big challenge here, is that we're still in this place of seeing separation. We're still in this place of seeing hierarchies or levels. And really, in heart consciousness, there are almost no levels. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to explain this quite well enough. There's different levels of mastery, but it doesn't hold one person above another or one frequency above another one. They're at different stages of evolution, but all are equal. And we're still looking at things from a standpoint of, well, I'm higher or they're lower, or they're higher or I'm lower. We're still looking at it referentially rather than we're all trying to cross that bridge. We're all trying to get there eventually. I know there's people in your life that look like they're never going to cross that bridge, but they're all trying to get there. And the other thing that's interesting about this 10 of water card is there's a mermaid in here, and there's two fairies on the shore. And the story behind this card is that actually the mermaid, one of the fairies used to be a mermaid, and this is her sister, but she fell in love with another fairy and decided to become a fairy instead. So she went through a transformation. That's really all that this is. Energy is just being transformed. We are in the process of transforming our energy. That's where we end up, the death card, transformation. So understand that you're transforming towards a higher vibration, but it's almost like we need to just kind of go with it instead of really trying to figure it out. Does that make any sense? We need to just surrender to the possibility that, hey, I could go through this process, which is going to help me stay in my good place for longer, but I'm not going to have to really fight. I don't have to fight or figure it out. Okay, 7 of water, I think this is talking about symptoms you might be feeling, perhaps extra emotional, hard to focus. Maybe the energy feels diffuse around you, a little uncertain. But in a way, the 7 of water is actually kind of an advice card, because she's dropped the scythe. She's dropped the things that breaks things apart, and she's just focused on this. Oh, okay, I see actually. Take back what I said about the advice. It's to make sure that you're really focused on the truth and that you're not distracted by an illusion. You're not distracted by a shiny thing or a something that looks like the truth but isn't. So it's about making sure that you're being very honest with yourself, and that actually it's also that you're cutting yourself some slack, that you're being kind to yourself and you're being compassionate, understanding why you're struggling with what you're struggling, and not expecting yourself to be so perfect right now, because we are in this transitory time. We are in this transitory period. It's not going to look perfect. I don't know if maybe this is a terrible metaphor because people don't really drive stick shifts anymore, but if you ever learned how to drive stick or watch someone drive stick, it's not pretty. You do this back and forth when you're trying to get the engine to engage and the car kind of jumps and bounces. Or even the metaphor of birth itself. That's not a gorgeous, pretty process, right? It's painful. It looks traumatizing from the outside. It's all of this, it's messy, it's all of this stuff. But it's perfect in the fact that it's imperfect, right? So give yourself some slack. You're not going to be able to be at your 100% just yet, because it's like you're being rewired. 9 of earth is what's underneath. What's our message here? Okay, the message here is that you are being supported and guided by your team right now. And yes, that's true all the time, but it's especially important right now because if everyone is struggling with this, it's going to be maybe harder to lean on other people for support. It's going to be harder to depend on those that you usually depend on. So this is about, first of all, depending on yourself. That's where giving yourself some slack is important, but knowing that you have maybe stronger ability to depend on the non-physical the higher self, your guides, your ancestors, your relatives, loved ones on the other side, that you can actually draw on them for strength more at this time. All right. Queen of Water. Right, this is a specific message for someone. You have a very strong channeling ability, and it looks like it came from a past life. It is trying to awaken in this life in a much stronger way than what you are ready to allow it to do. And so I guess some of you is resisting this bump up, this rainbow bridge that we're crossing, that we're about to cross, because of, it's almost as if your cells came in with, like your cellular memory came in with an innate resistance to this higher energy channeling. Not because you're a dense or a low vibration, but because something happened. You felt incredibly vulnerable in a past life. It really left you unprotected, or you felt it left you unprotected, being able to bring this energy in. You know, we see a lot right now, people who were witches in past lives who were tortured or punished basically for their healing abilities in very graphic and awful ways. I'm feeling like this was probably more having to do with a child, even though it's the Queen of Water. I'm seeing more a child, that maybe you had very special gifts as a child, but they left you unprotected and you didn't feel like you had. It actually caused a lot of clashes with your parents because it was something that either they didn't know how to handle, or you would bring things up with them that they really didn't want to see. It's almost like you could see what was going on in their relationship between them, and it's beyond your maturity at the time because you were a very young child and you were bringing it up, and they didn't like that you could see that, because it's as if you could see it, they thought it was obvious to everyone, and so they didn't really you were punished for your insights. And so you learn to repress that. So if you're feeling especially off at this time, this is also why, because your own cells are trying to reorganize. Your own cells are trying to figure out how to receive this higher, because this is a different lifetime. This is not going to happen to you in this life. We've got the Two of Air in the future, which is still showing some resistance. So I think this is important to realize. It's like when you're playing as a kid and you say, ready or not, here I come. That's what this channeling ability is saying to you. Ready or not, here I come. If you resist me, I'm still coming, because we chose to come in at this time so that this gift could be useful. So if you're ready for me, it's going to be an easier process. If you're not ready for me, I'm still coming anyway. So you can help this along by, again, just being easy on yourself, cutting yourself some slack, reminding yourself that this gift has an important function right now. It has an important reason beyond you. When you are a channeler or a healer, it no longer becomes about you. And this isn't a time when we're going to be victimized for our gifts. This is a time when our gifts are going to be celebrated. So just keep that in mind, all right? It's always up to you, but in this case, it's coming whether you want it or not. All right, advice from the higher self, Hermit. Now, I want to say that this is about really taking time alone, taking time by yourself to regenerate, to reflect. Is there anything else that wants to come in from the Hermit for us? Need to look at the card. I feel like the hermit here is saying it's okay to be in that cave. It's okay to feel a little safe and warm and nurtured and coddled right now. It's okay to be that way. All right, this is a scary time. I know for some, it's hard to remember back to puberty, but I remember it being a very scary time. Your body's changing. You don't know where it's going, when it's going to stop. Hormones are going all over the place, so you really don't have a rational hold on what's going on, and it's kind of scary. And the way people are reacting to you is changing. The way you're reacting to people, the way your family is reacting to you is changing. And so the hermit is saying this is kind of like what's going on. All of these things are changing. People's reactions to us, your reaction to yourself, your reaction to other people. And the hermit's saying it's okay. It's okay. You can just be by yourself for a little bit. Don't worry so much about getting it right. Now this 5 of Earth is tying back to the 9 of Earth message of everyone around us may be feeling this in a different way. Don't really count on them. But on the other side, I feel like those that don't understand the connection to higher energy, and I want to clarify this too. Of course it helps. I think it helps if you understand the world in terms of source and past lives and karma and guides and how we're all evolving. To me, that helps make sense of life. You don't have to have that worldview to be spiritual or to be aware of a higher energy. As long as you know how to truly tap into love and the divine and unconditional love for any being or nature, you can have the capacity for spiritual experiences. And it's those that don't have that line through whatever channel it takes to the spiritual experience that are going to struggle the most. And they are going to want to pull you down the most because they feel alone. And the whole misery loves company thing, right? So if they're drowning, they're going to try to pull you down too. Because, we do have the death card in the outcome. To a lot of us, this feels like a death, the death of the old, and it feels like a very real death. We're feeling it emotionally. You may be also having physical symptoms that are uncomfortable, that we know are transitional, like headaches or the inability to sleep or restless or being too hot or whatever it is. Just understand, and this is why the hermit, it's so important to remember this, that if someone is trying to pull you down, they're just scared by what's going on. Just remove yourself, okay? Because you're changing, you're being kind of blah, 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 too, okay? Now, there's a little resistance to this change, Knight of Earth, but we're headed for change. It's inevitable, death. Knight of Earth is also reminding you that everything on Earth is temporary, right? Even our beings, even the things we value, even Earth itself, the forest that dinosaurs used to roam through we now use for coal, hopefully. Meaning that there's not much left. But anyway, don't get me off on that tangent. Everything is impermanent. And so when the Knight of Earth shows up, it's really about resisting that truth about life, that everything is in a state of flux and everything is in a state of flow. And when we resist, we're really holding ourselves back from our own growth, our own evolution. But we're also holding ourselves back from support. Okay, so it's kind of like, our guidance teams are walking forward saying, hey, look at this path. It's so great for you. And you're kind of hanging back saying, but I don't want to leave this path. And this is metaphorical because, of course, spatially your guidance team can be here and here at the same time. But the point is that we're trying to go in the direction of flow, and it's important that we not resist because that just makes it more difficult for ourselves. I think there's also, we're undergoing healing of our bodies right now. We're undergoing healing of kind of what we put in our bodies, how we think about our bodies, what our bodies look like, how they function. So you may be seeing a lot. I keep mentioning physical changes that might be happening as well. Weight might be changing. Even your facial structure might be changing a little bit. Okay, and highest potential, we have the Death card. And we've talked about being open to change, being open to transformation. The message I'm getting from higher guidance, it's kind of like a little wry smile. We're going to be so surprised and we're going to be so pleased when we get through this kind of dark night, dark tunnel. That it's not going to feel so much like an explosion or a destruction of the old self. It's actually going to feel like this is so hard to verbalize. It's going to feel like a regeneration of a part that we didn't know existed. So, best I can do right now, I've got some zinnias growing in the backyard that I grew from seed, and first they're putting out leaves, and it looks like we're only going to get leaves this year. And then all of a sudden, it's like it's a different plant because there's a flower bud on the top. I never knew it could have this kind of shape of a flower bud, but it was in there all along. It's been in the DNA of the seed the whole time. It's been in the potential of the seed the whole time. Looking at the seed, which really looked like a little speck of dirt or a little speck of dust. I can't even tell you what shape it was. It was just like a little dot of nothing. You would never know that it could become this gorgeous green, beautiful thing with this special little flower bud. But it's like a part of ourselves that we've forgotten is going to suddenly kind of shoot up through the middle of us and blossom and bloom outward. It's not going to feel like we're cutting off the old self or it's more like it breaks out, it breaks through like the snake coming through the skin. The new is going to break through us and it's going to open this way rather than kind of tear down so it can be built up again. That's a different stage of the journey. That's not what we're talking about right now. So, I hope this helps bring a little more grounding and clarity to what's going on. Of course, if you have further questions, please do reach out. We have to be here and available for each other. If you would like a reading, please go to soulguidancewithAdriana.com. There are different kinds of readings depending on what you're looking for. And I will look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you so much for joining me from my heart to yours.